I started playing tennis around about 5, 6 years old. That's when initially I had the first experiences with tennis racket. My idols, I'd say I watched a lot of, Pete Sampras, that era, Andre Agassi, but I didn't really get to see much tennis, because we didn't have what you call cable TV back in Zimbabwe. So I'd get some highlights here and there and watch some Grand Slam tournaments. Usually it was Wimbledon that I'd watch Sampras. So I just, uh, started watching him a little bit more. But as I got older, kind of, modern era, Federers, I admire some of their game styles and a lot of athletes, especially like Mario Ancic, but he retired, a Croatian guy. I used to just like the way he played. My inspiration for taking tennis, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I would say my inspiration is probably my father, because he's the one who was playing tennis mainly in the household. He went to school over in Europe and a little bit in the States, so he played tennis so much. So I kind of tagged along with my brother most of the time. So that's where it initially really started from. I don't find I didn't get any other sources of inspiration playing rather than them. I wouldn't say I was competing um, in a non-tennis culture in Zimbabwe. Actually, I think a lot of the time there was actually a lot of tennis being played in Zimbabwe. They had the leagues. Um, they played over the weekends in Zimbabwe. They had sports clubs where people play cricket, soccer. In tennis, there were always tennis courts, so there were always like a lot of sports club. I remember there were tennis courts out there, so I spent quite some time, early years in my junior tournaments. So there was a little bit of tennis, a lot of tennis actually back then. As for financial help that I would receive from the government, there's not really much they have done for me at that time. I've had opportunities to represent the country, uh, and that's just was something that was great for me early on. But as for finances, the government has not really directly put money into my program for where I'm trying to get to. The idea of helping me with my tennis, they have shown some support earlier in my junior career. I was on a couple of touring teams that they facilitated, junior Grand Slams and a couple of other Northern African tournaments that they put me on the team to participate in that. And a few times they've given me a couple of grants, maybe one or two or three. I can't be familiar with the number, but not so many. But that, as much as the ITF, that's what they've done for me. It was mainly in my junior career where they assisted with a little bit of funding to play some events. As for how my financial situation in moving along forward in my program, my father has been the one who has been taking care of 90% of the expenses, I would say. Yeah, he's the main source of this program that I'm running out here. I recently spoke to my manager actually on Pledge Sport. I'm uh, I'm one of the athletes that they're helping with the fundraising, and it's something that's new as well, and I'm learning about it as we get along. And I know most of the funding comes from all sorts of people who are trying to help me with my program, but it's something new that I think it's based out of Ireland. If and I'm just hoping to see how it can come along and help me for the stretch in the long run. One of the main goals towards like this stretch, because as you know, this U.S. Open is currently on, so Australian Open is the next Grand Slam that's going to be coming on next. So that's obviously every tennis player whose ambition should be playing Grand Slam, competing at that level. So that's my next target. With the type of help that I could be getting, completing some tournament schedules and some support from my team with some funding, and we could probably get a push into going to the Australian Open.